Mess with Gran, you get the blam blam. Kira.
Hi, I'm a 1-mana looter core with upside. Meia.
Hi again.
Hello.
Feels like it's been so long since it's just been the two of us.
I know
in
it's
the
been
studio.
a little minute. We've had so many cool guests, but it's finally just you and I again.
We've been kidnapping committee members is really what's been happening.
It's true.
Just one by one. So
Eventually we'll have to travel around the state. We've got to collect them all, right? Wait, is that the right game?
oh, hang on. But today we're talking about Worlds. We're talking about Standard again.
Yay! It's back! And the World Championships. What an event. Always such fun to watch. And we had quite an Australian contingent over there. We had friend of the show, Jennifer Rose. We had, of course, the Sean Henry. Congratulations on the top 4 finish. Way to go. Who else did we have up there?
How can you not say his name? Ben Tudman.
Wait, he was at Worlds?
Oh wait, this is not PT. It was World. Sorry.
Worlds.
In my head, I was like, Ben Tudman.
Yes. No. I don't believe Ben Tudman was at Worlds.
In my heart, Ben Tudman was at
Yeah, no,
Worlds.
exactly.
In my heart.
Actually, I think I know Ben Tudman wasn't at Worlds because he was at the Australian Open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense considering the Australian Open was happening during Worlds and I was talking to him. Oops.
These things happen.
Look, when two big Magic events are happening concurrently, the wires just get a little bit crossed in your head.
They really do. But hey, Worlds was awesome.
Worlds was crazy.
The new meta, it's shifted so much. It is so good to see that we are no longer in
See, you said the meta has shifted so much, and my brain went, I don't know. Is still the best deck? So I'm not sure how much the meta has really shifted.
Yeah. Look, so for those of you who are not aware, 7 of the decks in the top 8 were blue-red X decks. So these were Is It Lessons, Is It Prowess, and Teamer Otters. And they also made up about 52% of the field on the day. Blue-red it's still pretty good, but it is multiple different blue-red decks, and it is blue-red decks in a style that we have not seen. Oh, sorry. Also, Is It Looting, which is different from Is It Prowess.
Yeah. It was a really interesting metagame because this was the first big Standard event since Avatar and since the previous bannings. And so it was a really good opportunity to kind of see where the cards fell and what kind of broke through. Leading up to this, there was a huge expectation of the Bant airbending combo deck to be the villain. This was going to be, oh, wow, infinite combo in Standard? Sure, that's awesome. And it was kind of looming, the threat of this Bant airbender deck was looming. And the deck did moderately well, but...
Yeah, look, Bajamor card, powerful card, and I expect we'll be talking about that card kind of a lot going forward. But Avatar had a really oversized impact on Standard, kind of more so than we were expecting it to, because we had definitely had the conversation where we were like, look, Avatar, it's a cool set, it's well designed, but there's not a lot of super powerful stuff. Mm-hmm. Where you were looking at, bounce spells and One Chi Tong, very scary, and Bajamor card, but they were pretty much what we were looking at. Little did we know, most played card out of Avatar was Boomerang Basics.
Boomerang Basics, Gran, Firebending Lesson, Iroh's Demonstration, Accumulate Wisdom. Hey, they printed Ancestral Recall in Standard.
Yeah. Turn 1 Ragavan, turn 2 A-Call. Wait, I thought we weren't a 7-point podcast.
Listen, not only that, but we throughout this year, can you believe it's we're reaching the end of the year with this show, and the year started with Aether Drift.
It did.
And that was when we were like, ooh, stock up. Yay. We're clawing back what we lost from Memory Deluge and other powerful draw spells. We're like, ooh, yay, stock up. Our crumbs. Ooh, consult the star charts now. It's instant speed. Crumbs. Card draw spell crumbs. And then Avatar comes in and it's just, hey, I heard about this card called Ancestral Recall. Want it back?
Yeah. And as it turns out, Ancestral Recall continues to be quite good.
Oh my gosh, it turns out drawing 3 cards for 1 mana is good.
Yeah.
Who could have predicted?
Some of the best 3 words in Magic behind win the game, right?
Draw a card.
And can I just say also, Monument to Endurance. You called it. You called it when that card came out in Aether Drift. You were like, this one's going to be busted. Lo and behold, world's winning deck.
Well, look, it only took a whole year
Hey,
for
look.
it to be good.
Monument to Endurance is a synergy card. We needed a slightly wider standard pool. And oh my god, is it busted.
Yeah.
It is so powerful. Being able to draw cards and Lightning Bolt on top of your Ancestral Recall is kind of crazy. Artist Talent putting in a lot of work, a card that I've played a reasonable amount of in Modern. That card is very silly. Turns out being able to filter and Ancestral Recall and also Burst Lightning seems pretty good.
Yeah, I've been sitting like on my heels a little bit with Monument to Endurance and Artist Talent. I picked up a playset of both of them really early on. And in my head, I was going, Red's been very good this year. These are both synergistic cards that have the chance to be incredibly powerful in the right deck. And, you know, unfortunately for me, I had to sit on them for a very, very, very long time and watch different decks kind of grow into and out of them in various different ways. And it turns out what was missing was an old lady.
It was an old lady and an owl.
An old lady and an owl. And suddenly, Monument to Endurance and Artist Talent, so incredibly good. And yeah, the impact that Avatar had was so, as you said, outsized. There were so many Avatar cards present. And this is actually something that I've said is a concern of mine, is that universes beyond cards that have an outsized impact have the potential to have a negative impact on Standard as a format due to price, availability, you know, something that was talked about because, you know, we briefly said, and I got confused that like during the Melbourne Command Fest Standard 10K Open, the format was also Standard. And I heard a lot of players really begrudging how hard it was to get their hands on Boomerang Basics, on Grand, on Accumulate Wisdom. And we've also now seen those cards spike in price. And a lot of them are uncommons. And now they're like $8, $9, $10. And they're $8, $9, or $10 and hard to find. And so it'll be interesting to see with Lorwyn next year and with other universes within sets if this balances out, if this just happens to be a bit of a standout powerful set, and if there will be standout powerful sets next year that kind of mellow things out.
I think it is kind of inevitable, right? Because we see this with every set, with the exception of maybe Edge of Eternities. Something comes in and really shakes up the format. And Avatar has done this more than I think any set this year, just because you have the Badgermole Cub, you have the Upper, and you have the like Boomerang Basics and the Accumulated Wisdom and the Grand, right? That's all elements of that are extraordinarily powerful.
Yeah.
Like, to the same extent, something like Quantum Riddler was from Edge of Eternities. And I think that pattern is, given the way that Magic Design has gone, and especially when you note the like changing in ban schedule, I think they're likely to be a little bit more ambitious with their cards. I think we can fully expect that cards in the coming sets next year are going to continue to be powerful and pushed and cool. And that's always good for competitive Magic. I like fresh formats. I am such a sucker for them. And can I just say, this Lessons deck is very, very, very cool. It is worth noting as well, the other deck that made it into the top 8 that wasn't a blue-red X deck was Sultai Reanimator.
Superior Spider-Man deck.
Yeah, turns out pretty good. Funnily enough, synergy decks currently quite good in Standard. And the most played couple of cards, so the most played cards that were played together, and I think the most played like series of cards over the entire tournament was, of course, the combination between Boomerang Basics and Storm Chaser's Talent. And this is a tale as old as, I guess, 2024, with the This Town Ain't Big Enough Storm Chaser's Talent combo coming out of Esper Pixie, right? This is just a mana cheaper and draws you a card, and it's quite good. It goes infinite with, it obviously goes infinite in Team Otters, using either Storm Splitter or the combination with Valley Flood Caller and Enduring. But it's also just like a really solid draw engine. Make a 1/1, draw a card, make a 1/1, draw a card. And we saw a little bit of this with the winner of the Australian Open as well, who was playing Esper Pixie.
Shout out to Ian.
My beloved. I love Esper Pixie so much. But yeah, turns out that combination of bounce is just still really incredibly powerful. And synergy decks are where it's at the moment. And that's kind of consistent with what we can expect from Magic design going forward, I think.
Well, and especially, the downside, of course, Boomerang Basics is 1 mana cheaper than This Town Ain't Big Enough, but it's sorcery speed as opposed to instant, but it draws you a card, so, they're basically the same thing. Nearly.
I think Boomerang Basics is substantially better.
Well, yeah. But, in terms of, the pluses that you get, the minuses that you get for the speed at which you can play, and the cost, right?
Sure, I would say they are comparable effects.
Yeah.
I would say that...
Boomerang Basics is still better.
Yeah, by quite a margin as well. I think, again, draw a card, some of the best 3 words in Magic. I think that is...
About draw 3 cards.
I mean, that one's pretty good too.
It's really exciting, and this has been, I think we are safe to declare this is the year of Izzet.
Yes, well, Izzet has been the best deck in the format since Tarkir, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So if we look back at the year, we started in this kind of we started in the format of My Heart, the Overlords, Esper Pixie, Mono Red kind of trio, featuring a side dish of Abuela's Awakening, and then we had the printing of Cory Steelcutter, which pushed Izzet overwhelmingly into the lead.
Yeah.
Right? It was just a little bit too powerful. And if you would like to hear about why it was busted, go listen to our ban episode conversation. Card was too good, too many cheap things around it. It was busted. Then Cory Steelcutter went and Vivi came in. And we all know what happened there. I believe we've done 2 episodes on why Vivi is too busted, and you can go listen to those episodes if you wonder why. And now, Grandcestral Recall is in Izzet colors, and that's pretty good. And it is hard for me to imagine something competing with that level of value, even if it isn't in a synergy deck, right? Because there were Izzet Lessons deck that weren't doing the Artist Talent Enduring Innocence, Monument to Endurance thing, and it was still good. Turns out playing Ancestral Recall in your prowess deck is also just fine.
Yeah, and seeing the way that Enduring... you got me a Monument to Endurance. You said it and now you stuffed me up. The same way that...
Coalstoke Gearhulk.
The thing that's also busted about Monument to Endurance is that it resets on every turn. And so you could do discard stuff on your opponent's turn and lightning bolt them on their turn.
Well, we saw this a little bit in a couple of the finals games, right?
Yeah.
We saw Seth Manfield in particular going accumulate wisdom, trigger, discard a card, make a treasure, draw a card, pass a turn, use that treasure to cast another spell, do it all again.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you have 6 damage per turn cycle per monument that is also making you mana and drawing cards is just exceptionally powerful.
Well, because there's similar effects on different cards, right? Like Painful Quandary, right? Is 5 damage on a stick should your opponent decide to cast a spell. They either have to discard a card or lose 5 life. But Painful Quandary is 3 black enchantment, and Monument to Endurance is a 3 mana colorless artifact. And it has more modes that benefit you.
Yeah. I think it is a little bit different because the requirements for Painful Quandary to trigger are so much lower, right? It's just your opponent casts a spell. Okay.
They're probably gonna do that.
Well, hopefully they're casting a removal spell on your Painful Quandary, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Monument to Endurance is kind of a little bit more difficult to set up because you have to build your deck around it. Right? Baneful Quandary, you can just kind of slam and you can expect to get at least a discard out of it. But Monument to Endurance being this sort of 3-mana thing that requires you to discard cards and ideally to discard multiple cards in a turn does make it tricky. And making sure that you live long enough to get the triggers over multiple turn cycles is important because it doesn't just keep triggering over and over and over again. Could you imagine how crazy that would be? Whoa.
Yeah, if you were allowed to choose the same mode over and over and over again, it would be hands down the best deck to play, and there would be no reason not to play it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would go infinite with a stiff breeze.
I mean, yeah, it would go infinite with a stick as well. You just poke it, and then it's just...
Yep. I'm very excited. I am known to be a lover of like value-based combo decks. I am going to grand people so hard, and I'm going to love it. But yeah, no, it's very powerful. It's very cool. It was a very exciting final set to watch. I was surprised, I will admit, by the fact that there wasn't a Badger Mole Cub deck in the top 8. Because there are, not only is Badger Mole Cub in and of itself very powerful, we've talked about this a little bit already, but like as an effect, insane. But it's also in multiple decks, right?
Yeah.
It's in the like Sultai and the Simic aggressive decks. It's in the airbending combo. It's in the like green-black lands, like Beifong infinite combo. There is so many really powerful, really compelling decks that Badger Mole Cub is in. I am staggered it did not make the top 8.
And I think that just largely has to do with the way that the Badger Mole Cub decks play. And it sounds weird to say this considering the effects that both decks... No, I'm going to rephrase. I think the reason we didn't say it is because it plays unfairly. And actually the looting decks play Magic kind of fairly. And I think the way that those decks played Magic fairly worked better in favor of the looting and the lessons decks. I think it was far more streamlined. I think... For those of you who are unfamiliar, especially with like the Bant Airbending combo deck, on Arena, the combo is so complicated and requires so much finagling. It is 4 clicks to get 1 ally token. And you just have to do that over and over and over again. Now, in paper, this is a lot easier. In paper, it's much easier to demonstrate the loop between 3-ang, 5-ang, Appa, Badger Mole Cub. So much easier. But that still requires such a complete knowledge of how the deck works and how you need to execute it and what you need to do to get to the win. Because it's just this... And the setup, frankly, the setup is a lot higher as well. In terms of having Doc Orlock and Badger Mole Cub ready to go, you need to have 3-ang in hand, or you need to have 5-ang ready to flip into an Appa. Like, there's actually so much setup required because the combo is so unbelievably unfair and ridiculous. And the fact that most of these cards are printed in the exact same set is insane to me.
Yeah, I, for one, am very excited for Avatar Block Constructed.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be that hard, and the format would be really good. You'd still have most of Bant Airbending and Lessons.
You'd have, all the combo pieces from Bant Airbending with the exception of Doc Orlock, I think. Yeah. And you would have, like, that doesn't even necessarily matter if you're blinking Badger Mole Cubs because you can Earthbend and get lands and nonsense.
Yeah, but, like, I think the reason that we didn't see it make it to the finals is I do also think people planned for it.
Sure.
And I think people were very ready to kill the Cub on sight. But I think, again, it played the game unfairly, and it played the game unfairly a half a turn slower than the Izzet decks, which meant that it didn't stand as much of a chance.
Yep.
And I think that time is really important because we saw for a while, like when it was Corey Steelcutter meta, it was like a 2.5 to 3 turn clock. When it was Vivi, it was 3 to 4, but like still really, really quick. Bant Airbending can usually go off 3 or 4 pretty consistently, but looting is like 2.5 to 3.
Yeah, and the outcome isn't like instantly win the game, right? It is set up enough of a value engine that you can overcome any like powerful thing that your opponent is doing. But as it turns out in this format, that's kind of enough. And standout card in my opinion of the current format is Torch the Tower. That card is kind of crazy. It's 1 mana, it exiles the Badgermole Cub, it interacts at instant speed, there's lots of like Storm Chaser's talents and tokens running around that you can use to bargain. That card really is shaping how the metagame looks at the moment. And I think that's really cool. I am glad to have like cheap, conditional interaction be at the forefront of the format, because that means that the format is very skill testing and very interactive, and that is kind of what you want.
The other thing that we've seen a lot as well is the mana curve of Standard over the year has dropped significantly.
Yes.
And that is largely in part to the fact that enablers of bigger spells like Up the Beanstalk have gone away. But like, you know, if you looked initially at the mana curve for the Overlords deck, it was like really heavy towards your 5, 6, and 7s because Up the Beanstalk was a reward for that. And often your 4, 5, 6, 7s were not actually that much.
No,
you were impending
2 and 3 drops.
You were impending your Overlords. But the fact that the curve for much of the decks that we're seeing now towards the end of the year stop at like 3. Like, you know, Shieldred used to be a mainstay at 4 mana. I don't even think Shieldred would be playable anymore in this current standard.
Well, it kind of almost wasn't playable
Towards the end, towards the end of it.
Towards the start of this year,
Yeah.
right? It was a 2-of in the sideboard of Demir.
Yeah, maybe.
That's crazy. It's
Yeah.
one of the most powerful creature spells of all time.
Like imagine if like just after the Grixis era, like Fable of the Mirror Breaker was like deemed unplayable. One of the most like powerful cards of its time. It could be. I think Fable, like, you know, unlike Invoke Despair, for example, super playable right now because red is just so unbelievably strong. But like, it's crazy to think that a card that was as pervasive and powerful as Shieldred at 4 mana is kind of costed out of the format right now. And I'm hoping that in the next year we continue to see Standard kind of like pump the brakes a little bit and fall more into that mid-range kind of space. It seems very unlikely with the way that things are going, but, you know, we're not getting to turn 5 anymore. And if we look back historically, that means Sunfall doesn't matter anymore. You know, all of your incredibly impactful board wipes don't matter anymore. Like, you know, Farewell was 6 mana. You would not, like, it would have no utility in this meta right now unless you were playing some kind of green-white ramp Badgermole Cub and your Farewells were resetting the board, you know. It's so crazy how low the curve of Standard is right now and how powerful it is at a low curve.
Yeah, and look, and there are decks that break this rule. Like Jeskai was in, I think, the top 5 decks of the top 5 most represented decks in the format. The Jeskai like Chico control deck. But yes, in general, I absolutely agree. And it's funny. I was having a conversation with a couple of friends because way back in the day when they banned Splinter Twin, it was because they wanted, like, Modern was the turn 4 format, right? It was more powerful than Standard, but it wasn't quite Legacy where people were killing you on turn 2, 2.5. Standard's kind of a turn 3 format at the moment, which is a very funny thing to think about. Yeah. It's like we have the power level of Standard today has surpassed the power level of what Modern was 10 years ago, which is, I mean, look, Wizards obviously did a lot of work to balance Modern specifically around that, like, turn 4 number, like the banning of Blazing Shoal and Birthing Pod and all that good stuff. But the fact that we are more powerful than a historical Eternal format at the moment is crazy. And crazy cool. I love my powerful synergy decks, but it's very telling about the nature of Magic's design philosophy now and how it has changed and how it is erring on the side of creating these like cool, pushed, edge of design space cards as opposed to like the craziest thing ever printed being a Siege Rhino.
Rest in peace, Siege Rhino. You would not be playable today.
No. I'm not sure if we've had this conversation already, but I was talking to the same people about what they would have to do to make Siege Rhino playable in this format. And I think it would just have to be Siege Rhino, but you remove the one,
Yeah.
the generic mana of it.
Yeah.
I think 3 mana Siege Rhino playable? Barely.
Which is so interesting. And, overall, the results at World, incredibly impressive. I'm so excited going into the next year to see what continues to change. Lorwyn is going to be so exciting.
Oh,
I'm so excited. Lorwyn, Strixhaven, I cannot wait. I'm so excited to see what's happening and what's coming. Congratulations as well to Seth Manfield for winning Worlds. Congratulations to Sean Henry for placing 3rd, 4th at Worlds.
That's such an incredibly impressive run, and it's so nice to have an Australian represented in the top 8.
Also, congratulations to all of the Australians that played. I believe every Australian debuted at Worlds.
That's incredible.
Like, an incredibly impressive result from all of the Australian players who represented us at Worlds. Congratulations. Very well done.
We go stronger by the day.
And next year's going to be amazing. So
I'm so keen.
I really can't wait. I think Standard is in a really interesting position right now. And I think it's this has kind of been like Standard's glow up year a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like from a format that people actively stayed away from, actively were uninterested in playing, to where we are now is night and day.
I think so, yeah. Standard has been getting a lot of love from Wizards, and the new design philosophy is really cool, and the fact that we're getting a bunch of new injection of cards through new Standard sets is really exciting. It's a good time to be playing Standard, folks.
It's really fun. We'll see what comes next year.
Ooh.
With all that said, that's all we have for you today. We look forward to seeing you again next week. New episodes release on Mondays at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can keep track of all of our releases at Raise MTG on both Instagram and Blue Sky. You can keep track of Meia at Meia MTG and myself at Kira Bobira. A huge thank you to the Hen House for the ongoing use of their recording space. And until next time, remember, loss is not the end of the journey. Is it sometimes loss?
No, I think you nailed it.
Oh. I'm so good at this.